filling in for Jerris Jackson. Thank you. And we are going to get started with the topic that's been on my mind for a couple of days now, weeks, if not months, but more precisely because of what I've seen this past week occur. Democrats want everything. They want more and more, from the level of governor to Congress, Senate, Assembly, and dog catcher if need be. They want to take every single seat if possible. We, as Republicans, have 7. 7 is a small minority of the 53 seats that we could potentially have. Democrats want to take those too. Why is this important? Because they are not going to stop, are going to continue to be relentlessly seeking to take every single seat if possible. That matters, and it has to change. We cannot allow that. In Orange County, it's reported this week from the voice of the Orange County Register that the Register of Voters reported that this week precisely, reporting in Orange County, Democrats have now slimly, very small percentage-wise, have surpassed Republicans in voter registration. Approximately, it's 89 registered voters have now become the number that has put the Democrats over the Republicans in voter registration in Orange County. Why does that matter? That matters for every single race in that county. And it's more of a philosophical, cultural process that I can say is happening right now. It's in the mind. When voters, Republican, Independent, or Democrats, hear something as critical as a county turning blue from previously being very strong, bright red, it's psychological. People now see to themselves, well, why does my vote matter? Why do I need to go out and either register voters to now vote or vote myself? My vote's not going to matter anyway. It's insurmountable. We cannot do this. We've lost. I'm leaving California. Well, I want to contemplate that with you just for a moment. That is not the case, and it does not have to be that way, and it should not be that way. If we think about 89 registered voters that have now turned a county that was previously red to now, I wouldn't even call it blue. I would call it minutely transitioning to a color that is not red. It's not by thousands. It's not by hundreds of thousands. It's less than 100. I want to appeal to every single conservative out there right now. As I was preparing for coming in today for Jerris Jackson, I thought to myself, I want to share an experience with you. This past election cycle, when our presidential election, our now President Trump won, there were a couple of people in my immediate surrounding where I work, and I asked them, "Are you registered to vote?" One of them said no, and this is a professional, educated person that has 2 master's degrees, that is a patriot at heart. We've had long discussions about politics. And I said, "So you're not registered to vote?" And the person said no. I said, "You've never voted?" And the reply was no. This person is in mid-30s of age. And I took it upon myself, went and got a voter registration card, brought it to the person and said, "This is what we need to do, and I will take you down to turn it in." The person did it. And on election day, I took the person to vote as well. Why is that important? It's important because if that's what it's going to take 89 registered voters away from that number and make it either even to start and then surpass so that we can turn this county back around to a red color, then that's what has to be done. If every single person listening to me right now just thinks about the person that's next to them, either at work, at school, at the supermarket, your closest group of friends that you usually have coffee with or go eat with, or you're surrounded by, even your relatives and friends. If we each of us take a couple of people, not if need be by the hand, and say, "Let's get you registered, let's go vote," regardless of what their thought process is in politics, letting them know that you care and that you can help them do that, it will change. With 89 people, an entire county has now claimed to not be conservative as it once was. In the Reagan era, it was very, very bright red. Now it's a shade of turning to blue. I won't even take it as a blue. To me, it's not blue. It's not blue because 89 voters are very critical. They do matter. Every single vote matters. But it's not an insurmountable task. And right now is the time to take that and run with it, change it, and capture it before it becomes the trend that is now statewide in some areas in California where the numbers are more challenging to overcome. What is the cause of this? Being across the valley and visiting many counties, I can say that I have many opinions on why that could be. But specifically, in this article that is referred to that has these statistics in it, it's saying that the electorate and the demographics of California are changing, and that's obvious to all of us. Those of us that live in California know that the demographics are changing. It has a lot to do, according to what's being said, with the Hispanic Latino demographic growing in California. This is common knowledge. We are aware of this. And this is why it's important to take our message to everyone. Anyone that you come in contact with needs to hear the message. What is the message? We'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, we cannot exclude or eliminate anyone from our thought process that we can reach and say, hey, are you registered? If not, let me help you. It may seem to many cliche, oh, well, register to vote, rah, rah. No, every single vote is mattering. In the last election here in Fresno City, for example, a city council race was decided by a handful of votes. Less than 5 votes decided a city council race in Fresno, California. There is now a city council person that is on the Fresno City Council as a result of a primary, a general election. I've heard it again and again across counties, across precincts. 1 to 2 votes per precinct has decided a congressional race. 1 to 2 votes per precinct. If you multiply that but then by the number of precincts, of course, it'll be a couple hundred. But for a city council race to be decided by less than 5 votes, that is critical. This is why we cannot no longer anymore allow this to happen. And whatever it takes, if it takes our church members, our family, our friends, our relatives, going out and saying to someone, are you registered to vote? If not, let me get you registered. Need not we look further than our own families, our sons, our daughters, anyone in our own household? We don't need to dictate their thought process. I don't feel that that's the best way to approach any person, regardless of what the conversation is. But we do need to encourage them to know that you care about their civic duty, that you care about them being heard, that their voice can be heard. We don't have to dictate what their voice is, but by the mere fact that you are telling them that you care and that you will do anything to help them get to that point of being a registered voter, that will open the hearts and minds of many people. Unlike the thought process of us saying, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to do anything, my vote doesn't really matter. Your vote matters, and what you tell others matters even more. We're going to be talking to a couple of people during this segment or during this hour that are actively involved with voter registration. Why is that important? Well, not only does it change counties and demographics as far as the electorate goes for any particular party, it is what decides elections. All of us have a voice, all of us have an opinion, but I keep on telling everybody that I come into contact with, many of us have issues very near and dear to our heart, what we want, what we would like to see in our public school systems, in our environment, in our city. But if we are not at the table making the decisions where the decisions are made, as in California, in Sacramento, none of that matters. We have to be at the table. We have to be making the decisions. We have to be in the conversation. If we're not in the conversation, we're not at the table making the decisions, and we do not win, our efforts are not in vain, but our voice will continue to be silenced. We see this day in and day out. More to come.
be discussing the true causes of our current immigration crisis, its effects on our nation, and particularly Latinos, in the 2020 election. Come and join us for our monthly luncheon on Thursday, August 22nd at the Ramada Fresno North, 324 East Shaw. Registration starts at 11:30 a.m. Program begins at 12 noon and the price is $22. Make your prepaid reservation today at FresnoRepublicanWomen.org. That's FresnoRepublicanWomen.org or call 559-292-5414. We believe that strong borders equal safe families and communities.
Hi, friends. This is Ken Hurley
and Dan Hurt, inviting you to tune in every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for Solid Gospel West.
2 hours of Southern gospel music brought to you by Calvary Worship Center.
Located on Dakota between Cedar and Maple, where people reach out to people with God's love.
That's Solid Gospel West every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on 1680.
See you then.
While everyone else is working on spinning the news this and that way,
Bill O'Reilly returns with the No Spin Zone.
People like me and millions of other Americans are upset, annoyed, and looking for answers.
The O'Reilly Update, afternoons at 3:45.
Talk Radio 1680.
KGED. Meanwhile, at the Democratic Socialist of America Convention.
Point of personal privilege, please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Hi, James Jackson, Sacramento DSA, he, him. I have already asked people to be mindful of the chatter of their comrades. It is also triggering to my anxiety. It's so that people aren't going to get triggered and so that it doesn't affect their performance as a delegate, okay?
Thank you, comrade.
Talk Radio 1680 KGED covers all the triggering events from now until 2020.
It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Are you an overthinker? Hi, Rick Edelman here. In 3 decades of serving folks like you here at Edelman Financial Engines, we've met a lot of folks who were trapped because they were overthinking their financial decisions. We get it. This can be scary stuff. You work really hard and you make a lot of sacrifices to save all your money. And well, just imagine if you make a mistake. Bad investment choices, the wrong mortgage, incorrect insurance coverage. It's enough to keep anyone awake at night. So here are 2 pieces of advice to help you solve the problem. First, realize that most decisions can be changed. And second, it's not just you, it's we. You don't have to go it alone. Let us help you. You'll get our experience and our expertise. So call us at Edelman Financial Engines. It's one decision you don't have to overthink. Call us at 888-PLAN-REC. That's 888-PLAN-REC. Or visit us at rickedelman.com. That's ricedelman.com.
Dirty laundry taking you over? It's Guillermo Moreno. And you want to know where I air out all my dirty laundry? Super Suds Laundry in the Tower District. Their wash and fold service is amazing. Drop off your laundry and pick it up later, and it'll be washed and folded for you. Do you have a college student or a loved one that needs a little help? Drop off their laundry. Deliver it back to them washed and folded. At only $1.50 a pound, it sure beats paying the electricity bill. So visit my friends at Super Suds or call 559-416-6240.
Hey, how y'all folks doing? Huckleberry here. Now I'd like you to went on over to my place and wrap your taste buds around the best darn breakfast and lunch this side of the bayou. Hey, mon ami.
Hey, Woody.
The Cajun-style cooking
Don't
mixes
send the
all up
station
with the
over. I want them
California
to hear
cuisine.
themselves before they go on. You guys hear yourself?
I can hear myself.
Yeah, I can hear myself.
Perfect. 30 seconds. Oh, sorry. Good?
Yeah.
You can adjust it.
Okay.
It's the Jerris Jackson Show on Talk Radio 1680 KGED.
Good afternoon. You're here with Talk Radio KGED 1680. You're listening to the Jerris Jackson Show. This is Lisa Moreno filling in for him. I am the Central Valley Regional Vice Chair for the Republican Party. It is great to have you. We have a visitor in studio today, and we're going to allow him to introduce himself. What's your first name?
Hi, I'm Joseph.
Hi, Joseph. Thank you for coming by.
Of course, thank you for having me.
I'm really excited that you're here. So we want to talk a little bit about Joseph and to Joseph. Joseph is a millennial from the area and sort of trying to get to know him a little bit more. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Joe.
Well, I'm definitely pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, and I myself have plans to join the military within the next 2 years.
Nice. Well, thank you for your service beforehand. What made you think about joining the military?
It runs in my family. It's definitely, I've always been told that the military teaches you, discipline, hard work, all the very fundamentals of good character.
Right. Who in your family has been in the military?
My dad, my grandpa, uncles. I even have an ancestor that was at the Alamo.
Wow. In what service is your father experienced in of the military?
My father's Navy.
In the Navy. Oh, wow. And is anyone else in the Navy also from your family? Or?
I think I got an uncle.
Right.
Grandpa, Army.
What do you think about millennials nowadays when they think about the military, your friends or others that surround you? Do you feel that there is that patriotic respect for the uniform, or what do you see others' perception of our military now?
Well, I definitely don't know anybody that dislikes the military and thinks they're all just a bunch of dumb people that are just serving the government's agenda or something like that. Everybody I know respects the military.
That's important. Do you think that the people that you know that respect the military is their thought process because they were raised that way, that their family believes in that? Is it have to do with you as a group of friends that all believe that the military is an honor for our country, or do you feel that it's something that's learned, or a combination of everything?
I think it's more of you see these guys and they're waving the American flag, fighting a bad guy in foreign places, fighting the bad guy in a savage land. You can't get more heroic than that.
Right, I agree. It's a pride factor when we see our flag and it waves in the breeze in the air. As a matter of fact, when our national anthem is sung, I personally get teary-eyed when I hear the national anthem, because to me it's very near and dear to our heart. And when I see someone as young as you are with that patriotic heart that you want to serve our country and that you want to carry on the legacy of your family, your father having served our country, it's really comforting, and it warms my heart that there is someone that thinks that way. What do you think about the recent events in and around our nation in the last couple of days, this past weekend, what have you? There have been some, I'm sure you've seen the media, the coverage of the mass shootings at Walmart and in Ohio. What are your thoughts on what you've been seeing and what you've been hearing?
I definitely don't think it's a guns problem. Just because it's there doesn't mean you just have the right to go and lay everybody down. It's definitely, I don't think it's mental health, because these people they come in combat boots with 6 magazines, and they just have a manifesto at home with the orchestrated plans.
Right.
So you just have to admit that there's evil in the world, and it's gonna fall through the cracks once in a while. And I would hope that somebody there has a gun and can put a stop to it when it happens.
And that's a good point that you bring up. We'll be talking about that a little later in throughout the show, of someone that actually did stop a potential tragedy, a mass shooting, a potential magnitude, similar to what we just saw in the last recent days. Do you think that a lot of millennials that are your age may be thinking that being anti-gun or not supporting the Second Amendment is a majority, or do you think that that's a minority of people that now process and think that way?
I think it's more of people that weren't exposed to that kind of thinking. Maybe because we live in Fresno. There's a lot of gang violence with all the mass shootings, gang violence, and just the evil out there lurking around. I definitely I see a need for it, and I see a need to protect these people. And no matter what your political views are, I think everybody just wants to, nobody wants this bad stuff to happen. But the people that have guns, if you're gonna have a gun, you gotta be willing to put it on the line and go for it. And if you have a gun, you put a stop to it. You're right there. You can't rely on police to be able to stop it for you.
Right. So you're referencing likely the incident that happened in Missouri, Springfield 2 days ago. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the next segment, but of a firefighter that was at a Walmart. And did you heard about that?
I heard something about that.
Right. So there was a off-duty firefighter at a Walmart, and he noticed essentially that there was a person in full body armor, a young male, that appeared to be getting ready to do something that perhaps would have been a tragedy. And as you just said, this off-duty firefighter had a concealed carry weapon. He is a permit holder, I'm sure, because otherwise it wouldn't be the case that we were hearing such positive outcome. He saved the day. He was a good guy with the gun that stopped a potential tragedy from occurring from someone that is a suspect to have had that process in mind. So that's where it comes in when you say that being someone that is responsible and having a gun is different than what we hear nowadays, that guns should be taken away from citizens, that there should be laws in place that prohibit citizens from obtaining guns. And it is important what you say, that it's more of a protective or protection for others, for not only for others but for ourselves. And so I would assume that when people say that it's the gun that is the problem and not the person shooting the gun, you don't agree with that?
No, it's definitely the person. People need to be held responsible. There are people out there that just have a different way of thinking. There's just people out there that have something in their soul that wants to bring bad things to this world, and you can't stop them all. So you gotta be able to see it before it happens.
See, and what you just said is important. You have to be able to see it before it happens. And this is something that I was also listening to throughout all the media communications, that when 9/11 happened, it changed the whole thought process of how we go through airports, how we're screened, what we have to do, what we can take, what we cannot take on board. And even in the last presidency with President Obama, we didn't see big, huge implementation of change for America, despite shootings that happened also in the Obama administration. They didn't just start in this administration. They started before. But unlike 9/11 changing how our country allows people to go through security, travel through the airport, what we can take on in our luggage and at the airports, we haven't seen that the mass shootings that have started before Trump's presidency have been addressed. And now a lot of what we hear is this is this president's fault. This is this administration's fault. Do you agree with that?
I definitely have been. It wasn't as in the news as it is now, and as it being the president's fault, I don't think it's his fault, because that would go into, politics about gun control and stuff like that, and how he would affect it. But it's, in regards to him being his fault, no, it's not his fault. It's just, it's probably just because we have a more outspoken president. People just have a perspective of like
who to blame.
Yeah,
someone to blame.
Yeah, somebody's always looking to blame somebody.
Right. Joseph, thank you so much for coming in. We're excited for you serving our country in the near future. You are an example for many to follow. Your heart is pure and you've got a strong soul, as a patriot should, for this country. We look forward to great things from you. Thank you for coming in.
For having me.
John on the line now. All right, good. Sounds good. All right, Joseph.
Thank you.
Glad you came in.
This is Lisa. You're listening to Jerris Jackson Show. We are covering for him this afternoon. Lisa Moreno. I am the Central Valley Regional Vice Chair, and we are filling in today. We have a special caller on the line, John from Orange County. Are you there, John? We have a little bit of technical difficulties. I can't hear my call come in. Give me a second, John. Are you there, John? Can you hear me?
I am here, but I'm not sure if we're together.
Awesome.
Hello?
We're together now. I can hear you. Thank you.
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm excited. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon from Orange County. We were talking.
Well, actually, I'm in L.A. today. I'm angry as heck, but I'm trying to do something about it. So I'm walking in L.A. for John Lee running for city council.
Nice. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a nice day out too.
Is it warm over there? A little hot, humid?
Well, I'm from Bakersfield, so nothing's warm over here.
Not too far off from us. It's been a little toasty over here in Fresno, but
the real valley.
Right. I'm excited that you called in because we've been having discussions and conversations in the last couple of months and more recently today. We were talking about earlier how the Democrats have a little slight edge in voter registration in Orange County, only by 89 registered voters. And prior to that...
More today.
Right. I'm sure. So the reason I want...
Yeah, the report says, more today.
The reason I want to chat with you is we were talking about the reasons why this might be. And one of the reasons that was mentioned was the demographics that are changing in the state of California. Latinos increasing in demographic numbers, Hispanics, and what have you. What is your thought process about that, John?
Well, I think that's a part of the what's going on. They're not addressing everything that needs to be addressed. They're not, when you're not doing a get out the vote and you're not doing voter registration effectively and you're not talking to your constituents, you have a problem. I've seen. I'm very sad because I started an organization, was in charge of an organization called Keep Orange Red. Keep meaning keep, Orange meaning Orange County, and Red meaning Republican. And as I guess everyone knows, Orange County is a Democrat county these days. But before that, I saw a need to address some of the problems. I've been involved in Kern County politics a long time ago, and I see that we need to talk to our number one constituents that are with us, that believe what we believe. We just don't talk to them, and they don't understand that they're Republicans, and that's the Hispanics. So we've been doing Hispanic voter outreach in Orange County, in Santa Ana and Anaheim, with some measurable success, and so it's kind of encouraging and exciting.
It is, and I'm excited for us that you are out on the front line. You are door to door, talking to constituents, talking to voters, and getting the word out. What I admire most of your efforts, John, is the fact that you are not a person that is going to sit back and wait for things to happen. You are not a person that is going to sit back and let things happen or evolve on their own. You are making a difference by being out on the front line and hosting meetings. You're hosting meetings. You're inviting people to come and get involved, to volunteer, to register. What do you see is one of the biggest things that volunteers have done that have truly inspired you to continue what you're doing?
As volunteers, I used to be really involved in the Republican politics, state, local, and a little bit of national. And I ran my ex-wife's campaign, and she was my wife at the time. In volunteers being inspired, I wasn't inspired myself until Donald Trump ran, and there was a clear road that we were either going to try and continue with free enterprise and that direction with the Constitution, or go to communism and socialism. And so I got involved that way. I get inspired with the volunteers is that it comes from their heart, and they mean it, and they're not being cultured, they're not being taken care of, and they're not being respected in the Republican Party these days. And therefore, every time that I talk to a volunteer, they've heard from the party, but it was somebody asking for money again. And I know that's important, mother's milk and all that, but we need to give some respect and build our base back, and we've ignored it, and thus far, well, because we've done that, they're not responding the way that we have traditionally expected them to, and have counted on.
I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you this. I know that you've been hosting some meetings in the last couple of months. What are the meetings that you've been hosting? How often are you having them, and what's the goal of these meetings that you've been having?
We've been having meetings in Anaheim and Santa Ana. We're going to the heart of the beast. That's where the heart of the blue is in Orange County. That's where Santa Ana is 51.2% registered Democrat right now, with a 17.3 or 4% Republican. So we're going after our base that's been stolen from us. It's the Hispanics. The Hispanics are good people, good hardworking, good values, and honest people, and that's what Republicans used to stand for, and I think much of us still do. And I think just letting them know that these are our values, and our values are also yours, and just and just talking to them. My goodness, I say let's have a meeting in Santa Ana, and some of the established Republicans cringe.
And I love what you're saying when you say that a lot of Latinos and Hispanics are conservative at heart. When you've spoken to people that you've not met before, and you approach them with our message or a message of conservative values, what do you feel that comes out when they speak to you? What is their heart after they've met you? You talk to them. What's their feedback to you?
The feedback's the same as mine. There's less freedom. The government and the schools are intruding on our kids and taking our kids away, and our choices with kids. They're taking away the choices and the responsibility of the family, where somebody can get an abortion without even your knowledge or permission. They too know when the paycheck comes, like all of us, and all of these things are taken out. You go, what? And hardworking people want to help the needy, but those that are on the rolls that are really not necessary, and just because it's more convenient or easier, that's a problem, and I don't support that. I don't think they support that. people are people. You have cultural differences and such, but they're good and bad. And thank God there's hope for us, because the Hispanic people are good, and they hold Republican values, traditional Republican values, especially social Republican values.
John, thank you so much for your effort, for all that you're doing, because you are making a difference. This is how you and I have been communicating, and as part of the Republican Party of the Central Valley, I can't wait to meet you in the next coming week at convention, and we will sit together and see how we can strategize to make your efforts more tangible, not only in your county, but throughout the state. Your efforts are admirable, and I agree with you 100%. Until we get out to every single voter with our message of conservative values, which you just mentioned, that is when we will see tangible results, when the tide will change.
Every single voter. Let's just start with one. What is it? Number one, getting the message, and number two, what is the message? You and I may know some of that because we hear it a lot, but you talk to somebody, I'm out in the fields right now, I go to that guy that has a campaign sign and ask him that question, they have no idea.
Right, and it's important to know the message, like you said. When we are out there door to door knocking, advocating for candidates, trying to get people registered to vote, getting people involved, having them volunteer, until we come together with a unified message to the electorate, it is a little bit more challenging. I agree with you. I'm hopeful, though, that with people like yourself.
Well, you too. You're working towards that, and it makes a difference. It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but your continued efforts and your continued direction will make a difference, and eventually we will come around, and eventually we will win again.
Absolutely, and thank you. And this is something that I was talking to an elected here in Fresno of the city. I was speaking to this person, and I said, we have to start building our bench. Not that we will be able to change everything tonight or tomorrow or in a day or in a week, but we have to start working towards the future in a year, or two, or however many it takes. But doing nothing is not an option. Not starting somewhere.
It's an option, all right, and we see what that option is.
Exactly.
Disaster.
Right, and we don't want that option. I agree with you.
Well, we've got it. Now we need to turn it around. And, the blue wave landed on Orange County. Okay, well, water recedes. When it recedes, let's reclaim our land and reestablish conservatism in Orange County.
Amen to that, John. Thank you so much for calling in. You and I will be talking more. You have a great afternoon, and I support everything you're doing out on the front lines. Thank you for all you do, John. We'll talk soon.
Well, thank you for what you're doing, and God bless you.
Thank you, John. Bless you, too. Thank you. We also have coming up next Molly from Fresno. Is Molly on the line? Molly?
I am.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for waiting so patiently. We were just speaking to John, and you're familiar with John from Orange County, right?
I am.
I was just telling him that his effort is just so awesome. Everything he does, he has such a big heart to serve. He's a patriot. He's on the go, on the move, never relentless, just always, just never ending relentless, working towards the goal of getting our state back to turn red and away from this shade of blue of any sort. The reason I want to chat with you, Molly, today is we've been talking about this county of Orange County having turned just slightly blue. And the reason I say slightly is it's still within hand's reach for conservatives and Republicans alike. It's only, I would say, John was saying there's a little bit more than 89 that was reported, say a little bit over 100 perhaps, a little bit over 100 and some, but it's not without us being able to take it back to the red. And the reason I want to chat with you is so that our audience can know what you've been doing specifically in the last couple of months here in Fresno at the Immigration and Naturalization Ceremony, the INS, that happens each month. What have you been up to with that, Molly?
Actually, I started last November, and I had heard about it just, through word of mouth, and I had gone down there, and the citizens come out with their packet. They're brand new citizens, and then we go out there to register them to vote because that's one of their duties, as a citizen. And we have information out there that explains the difference between a Republican and a Democrat, and we're there to help. So
when you go out to this ceremony, give me, for those of us that haven't gone, I have gone, I volunteered in the past. For those that are listening that have never been out and never experienced what an INS ceremony is, the naturalization ceremony here in Fresno, how many people do you see on a typical day when this event occurs that comes out of the event venue, the place? Is it in the couple of, is it 20? Is it 50? How many have you experienced?
No, I want to say, I don't know, probably like maybe 150.
Right.
Like there's quite, and it's every month. So when people talk about, illegal immigration, it's like, this is just in Fresno. It's like every month there's new citizens doing it the right way. And it is awesome when they come out because they're so proud. They have a little American flag, that they give them. They have their certificate, that shows their legal status. And they're so excited and, they went through the right channels. And it's just awesome. And so we're out there to help them to register to vote if they want to do that. They give them a voter registration pack, and in their folder that they give each of the citizens. And some, have a party lined up and they want to go straight to the party, and they said, well, we'll, fill out the voter registration on our own, which they can do. But we're there to assist them if they want the help. And some people do, because then we'll turn their form in for them and, we'll show them how to fill it out. But it's a great outreach because a lot of people don't really know what it means to be a Republican or to be a Democrat. They just see what's on the news, and it's like, well, they think, like the Democrats at the voter registration table at the INS ceremony, their signs say Democrats for immigrants. So, their main push is, we're for the immigrants. But a lot of times the Democrats, are going for open borders, and they're supporting the illegal immigrants and pushing for, free health care for illegals when we have people who are here legally who don't have, free health care, who are suffering. And so the Republican side, we want people to do things the legal way, the right way.
Right. And when you go out there, Molly, to volunteer, how many volunteers do you usually see on average that attend this event?
Well, when I started out, we'd probably have like maybe 6, and that has grown a little bit over time. Sometimes we have 12, but what I've been seeing, because it's going to be going on a year. What I've been noticing, the trend is they're reaching out to a lot of the younger people, the Democrat volunteers, and so their group is getting bigger and bigger. And, our group has seen maybe like 12 at the most. And so I encourage people, listeners, to get involved. It only is once a month for a couple hours, and it'll really make you feel good because these people are so happy to be new citizens. And, it just makes you feel good.
I really appreciate all you do, Molly, and I know that there are many people such as yourself in the Republican Party here in Fresno that go out and religiously every month spend their time that day. It's on a Tuesday, correct?
Yes.
It's on a Tuesday morning, and usually it starts. The event starts formally around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning.
It usually starts around 10, and it used to be at Valdez Hall, but now it's a little bit further down, so now it's at the exhibit hall by Selland Arena.
Oh, I didn't know it had changed. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so this month it's on August 20th, and we ask that people get there around 9:30 because usually the new citizens come out around 10, and then, it only goes till like maybe 12 o'clock, so it's only a couple hours. once a month. And it's usually the third Tuesday of every month. And we just have great people, that go out there and help us. And, sometimes some people can't make it that month, but they, are able to help the next month. So it's really important that we get people to register to vote, because on the last election, I looked up, Newsom got 4.2 million votes, and Cox got 2.9 million. Wow. So if you add that up, that's about 7 million people that voted. And I Googled the census for California, and we have 35 million people in California. Out of 35 million people, only 7 million people voted.
And they decided who the governor is currently, right?
Yeah, so those people who say they don't have a voice, the crazy thing is those people have more of a voice, than the 7 million.
Right.
35 million people, and only 7 million voted.
This is the reason that I want to have you on. Every person matters and every vote counts. When a percentage of the electorate and the percentage of people are deciding the grand scale of who's in office, what decisions are made in Sacramento, what legislation is passed, what laws are passed, it's so critical that we take everything into account. There are more of those that are not involved right now participating in this process that their voice can be heard than those that are. And it's those that are making the decisions for the majority and the masses and the large numbers. And I want to compliment you as well, because I know that you've brought on some young millennials to help at the INS ceremony, and also have attended numerous activities and events in the county. What do you say to them? How do you get the young and the millennials involved, energized, and motivated? What have you said to them?
Well, I just, appeal to their common sense, because listen, it's easy to be a backseat driver and to point out, well, I'm not happy with the gas tax or this or that. But until you get yourself in the driver's seat and actually do something about it, you're not going to affect change.
Right.
So, I'm asking people to stop talking about it and start doing something about it.
Right. This is why
even if it's just voting, if they didn't vote the last election cycle, even if it's just voting, even if you're just doing that, you're doing something. You're taking a part of the process, because we're basically being it's taxation without representation.
Right.
We're not being represented here, and it's really a travesty. But it's time for everybody to kind of stand up and get involved, because for too long, we've let other people drive the wheel, and we got to start getting control of the runaway stagecoach.
And what do you think about people that say, this isn't, I don't want to do anything like that. I don't want to get involved in politics. That's just not me. I've never done that before. I don't know. What do you say to people that come back with that answer to you?
Have they tried to be in a part of politics? Have they tried going to a meeting? Sometimes it's just, just trying something for once. Come out to register new citizens with us. And if you don't like it, at least you tried.
Right.
But it's like, we can't just throw our hands up in the air and say, well, we quit. We have to do something about it, because otherwise we'll never get this state back.
Last question for you, Molly. What made you get involved?
To be honest with you, it was Travis Allen, who was running for governor, in 2018. He came and spoke at the Clovis Veterans Memorial building, and he sounds just like Trump. And me, Lisa, I love President Trump. And I could not even believe what I was witnessing. And I was like, oh my gosh, where do I sign up? Where's your yard signs? Where's your bumper stickers? Let's get this let's get this thing rolling.
Right.
And I became one of his 50,000 grassroots volunteers, just like Susan. You know Susan.
Yes.
And my good friend Marlo. And we just all started out being a part of his grassroots volunteers, and we're still there. We're still all around, the 50,000 of us. We still help with voter registration, with precinct walking, with phone banking, getting informed, being on social media. I'm not asking, everybody to do all this. It's just, even if you can play like a little part, even if it's just voting if you've never voted before,
right,
or try to go to a meeting. We have Republican women's meetings, we have the Central Committee meetings, there's the CRA meetings, there's plenty of things just to dip your toe in the water and find what you like,
and get it done.
And then just go from there.
Right.
But once I heard him speak, I was in 110%.
Molly,
and
I'm up against a heartbreak
you know me,
right
Lisa.
now.
I've been going,
Thank you, Molly.
Going like a house on fire ever since.
You're awesome. We'll be talking soon, Molly. Thank you for all that you do, and keep on the good fight.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you, Molly. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.